And so tell me just before the camera's running. Is the camera running?
We're good, go ahead.
Okay, well, we'll just let it roll, but I was just going to ask you to just tell me what you're going to tell us about.
I want to tell you about my Christmases past.
Okay, and do you have, is that going to be all of them?
Oh, no. That would be impossible in my limited time.
But you have some that stand out more than others?
Yes, for various reasons.
Okay, well, what was the earliest one that you...
Here in El Dorado, on a dark night before Christmas, I walked into my grandparents' at about 4 years old, walked into my grandparents' bedroom and looked across the room through a window by the fireplace. And what did I see but a jolly old man outside looking in, waving at me. He wore a white fur band, white whiskers, and and after that I never lost the joy of Christmas.
And what would be the next one? That one was when you were tiny. That's great that you have a memory from that early.
Well, I think it was so impressive that that's why I've remembered it. I grew up here in El Dorado and attended Sunday school, church, sang in the youth choirs at the First Methodist Church, and that's where I learned the story of Jesus and sang Christmas carols. I remember my family riding around town in the 20s to see the Christmas decor everywhere. But what impressed me perhaps the most then were the little filling stations, Lion Oil, built on various corners, one being up here on Madison and Champenoux. One was on Northwest Avenue and Peach. They were little English storybook houses with steep roofs and had been covered in snow, cotton. And we were very professionally decorated and just stand out in my mind. And at my family wrapped gifts on Christmas Eve and read stories. The next morning we had a big brunch of quail, rice, homemade biscuits, and homemade mayhaw jelly. Then that afternoon late, we had a big dinner, invited all the relatives anywhere near. There were several days of celebration after that. After World War II, the young man with whom I'd been corresponding for about 4 years in Europe while he was in World War II came home to Arkadelphia and then on down to El Dorado, and he asked me to marry him and brought me a diamond, which I have worn 70 years. And the next year we were married at Christmas, because that's when he was home from the University of Oklahoma and I had graduated from Lindenwood Girls School in Missouri, a liberal arts Presbyterian school. We married at the First Methodist Church, and our college friends and all of our relatives were there, and we went on a honeymoon to the Arlington Hotel in Hot Springs. And on Christmas Day, we ate lunch in the big dining room and listened to a string quartet playing Christmas carols. And that was memorable to me. About 2 years later, I taught at Yoakum School, public school music. And I was quite anxious because they told me in the very beginning we would have a pageant before Christmas, and that was September. And I'd never even taken a course in public school music when I was in college, so I didn't know where to turn. We had the most cooperative parents, and the mothers made the costumes out of sheets. That was in 1948 when we didn't buy much. Our house, after we were married, was always decorated with green wreaths and red ribbons on the windows and the doors. And we, before the charitable organization sold Christmas trees, went to the woods and cut our trees. And I remember one of the prettiest ones was from a fence post near Hampton. We asked the farmer, may we have it, before we cut it. And it was a beautiful tree that year. But we always decorated very simply, but we thought pretty. And one memorable Christmas with our little girl Caroline was when she was about 4. She had been begging for another dog. And when she got up in the middle of the night to look to see if Santa Claus was going to really bring her one, she stumbled over the puppy at the foot of her bed. And he was moving too. And her brother always had toys, it seemed to us, that had to be put together on Christmas Eve. And our fingers were raw from having punched those metal pegs all the night before. But I believe the most outstanding decoration we ever had was homemade. We had seen a picture on Good Housekeeping that motivated this project, and in those days we couldn't buy kits, but we made a gingerbread house using marshmallows, cookies, candies, but the mortar was made out of confectionery sugar and water. And according to the recipe, we just used 1 or 2 pounds. Before it was over, I think we used about 12 or 15. Wells Brothers Groceries kept bringing us pounds of sugar. And the children came home with John, our son, to help us with the project. When it was over, I knew where the mortar had gone, not entirely in the house. The kitchen floor was covered in mortar, and I took a hoe and scraped it off the floor before we mopped it. We put that little house in the attic to save for the next year. And when we got it out, the mice had eaten it. So we have a lot of happy memories from our childhood. But now my joy is visiting children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren and seeing them add new traditions to our old ones.
Do you ever remember a white Christmas here?
Yes, once.
And do you remember
Not
when that
many.
was?
No, I don't.
Was it a surprise?
Oh, yes. We've had snow as early as the 14th of December.
When you had a white Christmas, was it just, did you get up that morning and there was
It was
snow
there.
on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember that? Do you have a memory of that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good. Tell me about that.
Well, it was beautiful. We have pictures in the old car riding around with the snow. It was not a heavy snow.
And what was your favorite Christmas gift?
They all are. Santa started that at 4 years old.
And so how many grandchildren, children and grandchildren? And
2 children, John and Caroline. Each one of them has 2, so that's 4 grandchildren, all married, and 5 great-grandchildren.
so do you have a lot of children at your house at Christmas? Or?
And they don't come here.
Oh, no?
I go to them. They live in Dallas and in Birmingham. And I can still go.
So is there
It's
any,
easier for me to travel than them with all their equipment and the gifts and so forth.
is there anything that you would like to do around Christmas time that you've never done?
I'd like for them to all be here for Christmas sometime.
And so your anniversary was the 24th?
23rd.
23rd. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my birthday's the 14th. So Jack used to say, ooh, if I can get through this month, I don't have to remember those dates anymore.
So he didn't try to give you one gift for all 3?
No, he didn't, thank goodness. I'm not sure he liked to shop that well.
Is there anything else? I mean, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
You have some wonderful memories.
I have lots more, but I can't tell them all.
Oh, come on, tell us one of those that you can't tell.
No. I passed this by my daughter today, and she removed a thing or two. And Sarah may remove some more.
I doubt if Sarah will.
Yeah.
You may.
No, ma'am, I didn't see anything I wouldn't want to use.
You did a great job.
You sure
Thank you.
did, thank you. We have to turn off the air conditioning because it makes a sound, so.
I didn't notice it.
Okay, good. It's a little stuffy in here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Dodie, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Wow.
And your name is
Kirby Williams.
Kirby. Do you live here?
I live in Hot Springs.